So I'm going to go ahead and read the next question. And question number 15 is, have I forgiven my parents? It says, I thought I'd forgiven my mom a long time ago for the volatility of my childhood, which I attributed to her own troubled early years and her bad marriage to my father. I'd grown to accept that my mother was like a cat, affectionate sometimes, at others, aloof. I told myself I was no longer clinging to resentments and that the great conversations she and I had proved it. But when I tried to talk about our fights, she only withdrew or became angry, believing I was finding fault with her for no reason. We brought out the worst in each other, and each fight returned me to the loneliness I'd felt as a child. So I started faking it, plain and simple. I was cheerful, helpful, and lighthearted in her presence. And when we disagreed, I backed off. As disingenuous as this felt at first, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, it helped me see how much responsibility I myself bore for our arguments. It takes two to tussle, after all. I also realized how selfish I'd been, mired in a state of semi-depressive longing, still focused on what I wasn't getting from her, even though I wasn't offering her much myself. I'd wanted my mother to accept and understand me, flaws and all, but I'd refused to do the same for her. Forgiveness isn't what I thought it was. Forgiving your parents in your head is not enough. You have to forgive them with your heart too. You have to see them as the fallible people they are. You have to empathize with their needs. You have to remember they have needs. By letting go of the fantasy that I could get everything I needed from my mother, I've woken up to how much she's already given me. Her generosity and sense of humor saw my siblings and me through many bad times when we were kids, and their qualities I try to offer my own daughters. Our parents will never be perfect, but at some point you have to be pragmatic. You have to ask yourself what kind of relationship you want with them in the time you have left. My mother is 72 years old. Instead of finding fault with her for another decade, I want to celebrate her for the resilient, strong-minded woman she's always been. And that's from Heather Havlrisky. She's the author of Memoir, Disaster Preparedness. I don't think I really have anything that I need to forgive my parents for. I've always been kind of a lighthearted person. My dad did something pretty bad when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and he went to prison for it. And it was 5 years later before he called one day and asked if I wanted to talk to him. And I was like, sure. I was like 13 years old, you know, the world is just like, sure, why not? Hey, Dad. You know, I wasn't like harboring a lot of repressed feelings or anything. Not that I can remember anyway. So my father and I developed a relationship over the phone. Sometimes we talked about things from my childhood whenever he was present in my life. But for the most part, he became a voice to me over the phone. I'm not the type of person that has a great memory where I remember every little thing. My husband is amazing at that. He can tell you things from when he was like 2 or 3 years old. I can't tell you what I did yesterday, let alone when I was 2 or 3 years old 30 years ago. But, you know, I was okay with that. You know, he was a phone voice to me, and that relationship was okay. I didn't feel frustrated with him. I never remember feeling angry with him for leaving me, you know. Maybe it's because my mother remarried. They did end up getting a divorce, and she remarried. And the man that she remarried also became a great father figure in my life. So maybe I never felt that deprivation, you know, like I never had a father, because I did. But when I was, it was about 20 years after my father went to prison that we set up that I would go and see him. So I flew to New Hampshire, And I saw him for the first time. It had been 20 years since I had seen him walk away that day to go to prison. And it was a little bit awkward, but we had a good time together. It was a couple of years later that I decided that I was ready for him. Or not that I was ready, that makes it sound like I had an issue, but I was excited for him to meet his grandchildren. So a couple years later, we set it up, and we were all scheduled to go and see him in August. And we were going to leave around the beginning of August, and at the end of July, he had a stroke that lasted 11 hours. And at the end of the stroke, he was still alive. He lived through it, but he was in like a vegetable state. And it was written in his will that if anything had happened to him, where he would be in that bodily state, that he just wanted to be let go. So there was a couple of days that passed where he was still in the hospital in that state, but the time came and they just took him off of all of the machines that were keeping him alive, and he passed. So my father's been gone since July of 2009. I actually have this little thing. Let me see. I'm going to show it to you. So I have this little thing here. After he passed, his sister had this made up for me. And you can see me through it, so you can see that it's see-through. But I keep this, I have a lamp right here on my bedside table, and this hangs from the, like the knob that you would turn on, the light switch there. And I really like this, and it's precious to me. I have a few things of his, and he kind of left his home there to me in his will, but at the time I was not able to feel like I could financially take care of two homes, one where we live and then one in New Hampshire. So he ended up leaving the home to his sister. When his sister passes, she's going to leave the home to me. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Now, as for my mother, my camera battery is dying again. I seem to be having that problem a lot lately. But really quickly, hopefully I can finish this before my battery dies. As for my mother, I feel like that I pretty much have always had a good relationship with my mother. There was a time there for a while that things got pretty rough, but it had nothing to do with her. I was going through rebellious teenage years, and am ashamed to say at one point I swung my fist at her, and to this day I can see the look of pain on her face when her child tried to strike her. So not really sure what came over me. That was just like the ultimate disrespect. I just can't believe I did that to this day, and am sorrowful over it. But my mother has always, always, always been there for me. I went through a really deep part of my life where I went into a dark depression. Ended up writing letters to my friends and family and mailing them letters that told them that I did not want to be bothered. It was nothing that they had done. I just wanted to be left alone. My mother kept that letter, and she never bothered me. I think that I probably would have panicked if my child did that, and would have been, you know, trying to pretty much tear their door down to their house to figure out if they were okay. But she respected that. She stayed away. Later, she told me that it killed her. You know, when she received that letter, it killed her. My mother is so, so tender-hearted. She did not have a good relationship. She does not have a good relationship with her mother. She's tried to over the years, but actually her mother, that story that was written almost sounds like my mother and my grandmother. You know, there's just a lot of frustrations there. But my mother did not pass those frustrations along to her children. She loves us so much, and she's good. My mom is my best friend. I can talk to her about absolutely anything. She's always got good advice. I just don't think that I have to forgive my mom of anything. Sometimes, of course, your family, you're going to get frustrated over certain things. I think the only thing that I probably get frustrated with my mom about is Well, she's grandma. So anytime that I like get onto my kids and she's around or whatever, it upsets her. Like she gets mad. She doesn't like me to like get on my kids or send them to their room or anything when she's visiting us. But, you know, and so that frustrates her and she kind of gets upset. And so then I'm upset. I'm like, Mom, just let me be the mom here and blah, 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 blah. But anyway. So I don't have anything to forgive my mom about. If anything, I hope that my children say to me, say about me that I am that loving person that I say that my mother is. And I hope that I can be my child's best friend. Me and my oldest daughter kind of, we butt heads a lot. I don't know. I think that we're just so much alike. And she's the type of person that has to learn through experience. I can't tell her, this is the direction you're going. It's a bad direction. Please don't do this. Instead, it's, okay, Mom. And then she goes in that direction. She's not a bad kid. I mean, she's got A's and B's. Every now and then it slips down. And I'm like, hey, bring that grade up. And she brings the grade up. She's a great kid. You know, there's no terrible things she's involved in. But I just don't, you know, I'm trying to protect her from hurt and pain. But she's the type, she's just going to have to experience a little bit of that hurt and pain. Hopefully a little bit. And that's how she's learning, that's how she's forming to be who she is. So anyway, I don't think that I have to forgive my parents of anything, but maybe you do. Maybe there are some things that you need to work through. So I hope that this reading has helped you a little bit if you're one of those people. Anyway, feel free to comment below, talk heart to heart, you know, let me know what you think. I'm gonna actually just stop the video here for now and charge my battery. Otherwise, I'll get halfway through number 16 and my battery will die. So, or I might just record it on my phone. I don't know, because I'd like to get this done. But anyway, that is it for now. So I will see you guys in the next video. You can check out the link. I'll probably put it right here on the page somewhere or link it in the down bar. If you want to go on to number 16, just go ahead and click that link and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I just have to like interject this here because while I was making the video, I had the sound on my phone off. Well, it actually like made sound already, so I turned the sound off. And my mom called me while I was on the phone. So she's just so sweet, and I just want this. She left a voicemail for me, so I just want to play it because, I don't know, just when I hear the sound of her voice, it's Mom. So she's just sweet.
Hello. Just checking in. Okay. Love you. Bye.
So while I charge my battery, I am going to call my mom and just let her know once again that I love her. So anyway, I just want to interject that in there. So I'll see you in a minute. Bye.